the last 200 years, we have gone through this scenario twice. An intersection of lines after which the old reality vanished in just a few years. We saw this with gaslight. We saw this with telephone lines. These three graphs show how systems critical to us were replaced by fundamentally new ones. Every time this met huge resistance, every time it threatened billions of dollars of invested money, habits, and entire industries. And every time, despite this, the new system won and destroyed the old one. And along with it, it radically changed our daily lives. This isn't a cyclical model. Scientists know that cyclical models don't work. This is a model of linear development of institutions critical to society. Any model is only as good as its predictive power. And I want to present you with a method of interpretation from which it clearly follows 2026 will be the point of no return. Old solutions have already stopped coping, stopped developing, and started degrading to minimal functionalism. We are talking about AI, about interaction, about control, and about the conceptual understanding of information, and about how this will destroy much of what you are used to as early as 2026.
This week, nerd culture didn't just trend, it reacted. Social media started rewinding, franchises sparked burnout debates, gaming communities hit a breaking point, and streaming platforms reminded us who actually controls the algorithm. If you felt like the internet was acting kind of weird this week, you're not wrong. So, what's good, everybody? It's Court. Welcome back to Ghost Town Underground. Again, this is home for the internet refugees. And for those who remember when the internet was chiller, much more realer, and just an overall better place. So, again, subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when I drop more content regarding just, nerdy shit and life. But let's get into this week's nerdy news. If you've been scrolling this week, you probably noticed something strange. And it's really that the internet is intentionally getting worse. Creators are ditching polish. Memes are getting goofier, dumber. And edits are starting to look like they were made on your 2012 laptop that it's cracked, it's broken, it's beat up and busted, but it's still kicking. All the comments are saying the same thing. The internet used to be fun, but we don't know what this is now. This isn't just random nostalgia. No, I think more so the point and perspective that people are speaking from is from a place of just more so just pushing back, right? And really people are just rejecting hyper-optimized feeds, AI-generated sameness, and engagement farming. And instead, they're choosing chaos, authenticity, and imperfection. Why this matters to nerd culture is really simple, right? Nerd culture was born online. Or let me step back and let me alter what I'm saying. I don't think nerd culture was born online. I think it existed long before the internet came about. But I think nerd culture had a space, an independent and secure space that was created online, and that allowed for nerd culture to thrive, to connect amongst ourselves, to have fun, to explore the worlds that we enjoy. So, examples of that are forums, right? Tumblr fandoms, early YouTube even, and Reddit long before monetization ruined the internet. Another example to this list, right, is just online gaming, right? Early Xbox Live, PlayStation Online. These spaces were so pivotal to nerds just being able to let their hair down and have a breath of fresh air with like-minded people, right? With other nerds. And this rewind that we're seeing, maybe experiencing and feeling, or those of us that maybe are participating in, it's not about going backwards. It's more so about reclaiming our identity as nerds, from my opinion, right? Nerds are saying the internet has lost its soul, and we don't know who you sold it to or what you sold it for, but can you get it back? Just, simple question for those. Right. And so, just a quick question for those of you watching the video. Do you really think the internet is better now, or do you think the internet is better maybe earlier to its inception? And so we'll say, like, let's go back to dial up, right? From dial up to like 2005, 2010 ish, maybe. Do we feel like the internet was better then or now? Drop that into the chat. Let's have a discussion about that, right? This week reignited the conversation around franchise fatigue. Every time a reboot, a remake, another cinematic universe drops, the reaction now is starting to kind of feel cold. Maybe people are misreading it as anger. No, but people are just tired. An example of this actually, maybe like yesterday or today, maybe. Um, the announcement dropped for who will be playing Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider remake, and it's Sophie Turner. And just me, as again someone who grew up playing the Tomb Raider video games, I watched the Angelina Jolie version of Tomb Raider. I also watched the Tomb Raider that came out a couple years ago. I would say recently. I can't remember the actress that portrayed Lara Croft in that film. I apologize, but even I forgot. I even watched and enjoyed the Netflix animated series with Tomb Raider, they just released season 2 like not too long ago. Great, but I saw this announcement for Sophie Turner, and again, this is no shade to her, but I was just like, do we need another Tomb Raider? Like, do we need another Tomb Raider for real? And again, this is tying into the point, right? We're not tired of we're not angry that you guys keep making these remakes and reboots and blases, but damn, can you respect the original content? And not just the original content. Maybe that's not even asking for enough. Respect the original people that gravitated to and supported the content. And so again, nerds don't hate adaptations. We just hate soulless ones. We hate kind of shitty ones. And I don't know, again, this is me speaking about it before it even gets there, but maybe this new Tomb Raider is really good. And maybe Sophie Turner is an amazing Tomb Raider. But at this point, franchises, they used to feel like love letters to the fans. And now, again, using this example with Tomb Raider and this shit, it just really feels like they just check the box on a spreadsheet and on to the next piece of content. And that's, again, them missing kind of the mark, in my opinion, as, filmmakers or now content creators, whatever you want to call them. Because nerd culture thrives on lore. It thrives on world building. It thrives on care of the characters, right? Like, nerds care about the shit we nerd on. So that means it's got to have a good story. It's got to have good character development. It's got to have a good world. It's got to have a good, like, just underarching, like, theme, right? Something like it's got to be there. And when studios recycle intellectual property without really understanding the why this story mattered, or the why this character was relevant, or why this antagonist always has this duality with this particular protagonist, and they just make some shit and throw it up on the screen just so they can get a couple of dollars, that's where fans actually start disconnecting. And I think really that's what maybe people are experiencing now, right? This frustration that people are feeling, myself included, really isn't about change. It's about intention. It's about, did you really intend to make this story good or not? Did you really intend to understand the characters, understand the world, understand why this audience, and even the broader audience that you're wanting to reach with this piece of work, do you understand why we connect to it? And so, if I could say it in a phrase, in a couple of words, don't just adapt the brand, actually adapt the story. But, off my soapbox and on to the next segment. We're talking about gaming now, right? And so, in the world of gaming, there is this discourse that's been happening this week, and it's kind of intense. And this is what it is. And we'll even say it might be long overdue in terms of the subject conversation. And that is live service fatigue. And it's actually peaking. And this is battle passes, right? This is daily challenges. This is an always online requirement that is in majority of video games today. And I can speak again from personal experience, and I kind of touched this on last week's video as well too for Nerdy News. But again, that's just kind of how important this conversation is in the culture right now. That we're having it, we're touching on it 2 weeks in a row. And again, just speaking from personal experience, because I played some live service games like, Apex Legends. Again, that's my bread and butter. Arc Raiders, Marvel Rivals, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. You really can't find many games today that have like a multiplayer aspect or component to them that isn't some form of live service or have that kind of element in it, right? And so it kind of changes gaming for you, right? It used to be fun, and now it feels like, okay, I gotta check my calendar. I gotta log into the game to see what's happening this week. I gotta log into the game today to make sure that I get this thing that I'm only gonna be able to get today. Woo! And people are starting to really feel like this hobby, this thing that used to get me away from work, used to get me away from my stress and away from all the things that felt like work. This is actually becoming a job now, and I don't like it, right? And so, yes, nerds value mastery, right? And so, games really used to reward that, right? They reward exploration, experimentation, and system mastery, right? Exploring, right? Open world gaming, right? You have to be curious to see what's out here, and that's actually kind of how you uncover maybe different parts of the story, different quests, different objectives, things that you can maybe do with your character because you had the idea or took the initiative to explore the world. Experimentation, right? Like just various games that I've played, like like platforming games and games that have puzzles and like the things of that nature built into them. Like it requires you to experiment. You got to maybe do this over and over again and figure out, okay, this level I have to beat this thing this way. I got to jump here, jump there, touch this, touch that. Whatever the case may be. That is nothing but trial and error, essentially, right? And all these things, right? Or this curiosity that allows you to explore the game to the most you can and experimenting along the way. That is actually what leads to system mastery, right? Or what we'll call system mastery, or just really just like being a proficient player of that game. Right now, you know, so many people really in gaming developers really are just prioritizing engagement metrics and monetization. And that is plaguing my favorite game right now, Apex Legends. This is like every season, every event, it's just them now just trying to sell skins and sell just shit for us to buy. And yes, now they're really kind of revamping and increasing the player experience as well too with different stuff, but it's not enough in my personal opinion. And it's frustrating, right? And the frustration I think that we are feeling isn't that we're opposed to the innovation or opposed to the way that games are developing or just cultures in our spaces is developing. No, it's really we're tired of being manipulated by the content. Not that we don't want to enjoy the content. The same kind of logic really extends, in my opinion, to tech more broadly as well too, right? And what do I mean by that? Nerds love tools. And we don't like babysitters, right? And kind of handholders, right? Give us the tool, give us the manual, and leave us alone. We'll read the manual, we'll figure out and play around with this thing until we figure out how to work it. Don't hold my hand. Don't micromanage. I think that's really what a lot of nerds are saying now. Like, to be a nerd, it's almost like you're forcing us to have to participate in certain things. Like, you're leading us to like this subject. You're leading us over there to like that subject. I would say in response to that, this week really made one thing clear. And it's pretty simple. Nerds want their agency back. Here's a concrete example of what nerds are frustrated about. And this is actually a conversation that resurfaced this week as well too. And this is what it is: streaming platforms, right? Like Netflix and Max or HBO Max, whichever you want to call them. They have a pattern. And this is the pattern. If a show doesn't explode immediately, right, it quietly gets buried or removed. Some examples of that are this. On Netflix, right, there was a show called Inside Job. It was a witty adult animated series that was built for nerds, and it was canceled despite having a strong fan engagement. And another show called 1899, and I don't think I remember anything about this show or heard about it. Inside Job, I do remember seeing that while it was on Netflix, but 1899, right? A dense sci-fi mystery that really required a person to just kind of have patience and pay attention to the story, and that really got canceled before it really could grow, right? And shows that really reward nerd behavior, right? Like rewatching it over and over again, theorizing about what's happening, what's going to happen next, how this new story or this new episode applies to last season or last episode, all that kind of stuff, all the lore building, right? We don't even get to do that really anymore. I was having a conversation the other night, about again, pertaining to Netflix and the way I feel about limited series on Netflix versus like the actual series that they put out there, like the broader shows, the more extended shows. The Netflix limited series are some of the best content that Netflix puts out, but you're only limited to 6 shows, 6 episodes, maybe 8 episodes, something like that, compared to maybe a show like Lost or Game of Thrones, or insert a show that has Stranger Things actually another example that has multiple seasons, multiple episodes, and you can really just slowly enjoy the show and the series and the content. You don't really get to do that anymore. Like, I don't understand why we have to like it so quickly in order for people to feel like it's liked at all. I don't understand. But also on HBO Max, right, or Max, whatever you want to call it, examples here too. Raised by Wolves. I didn't watch this, but I saw snippets of it really, and I was like, I might want to check that out one day. But again, one of the most ambitious sci-fi series in years when it came out, and now you can't watch it. Westworld. Now, this was a show, actually, I did watch the first couple of episodes of that, and I was like, okay, we got to get back into that for real. And this was a flagship HBO sci-fi property, ordered from the platform, right? And again, going back to the point, like the shows and the content, the media that nerds are going to gravitate towards and consume are slow burns. Like, we got to get into that thing, right? Again, examples: Star Trek didn't come to what it was and what it is overnight. No, that took decades of just airtime and screen time, decades of character development, decades of world building, decades of story planning, multiple series that came out on TV, on primetime television. And then in the future, we had Star Trek's movies, right? This took time to build. And, so many other examples, right? Anime, Naruto. That series ran I want to say at least 15, 20 years. One Piece, again, running like 15, 20, maybe going into 30 years. Yeah. Like, again, like, it's got to build. You got to let it build. You got to let it cook. What they say, let them cook. That's what, why you think that statement even is a statement now? And spoiler alert, where y'all think y'all got that statement from? Let them cook. From us, nerds. We saying it for a reason. You got to let them cook. I'm sorry, that was an emotional outburst. But cult classics, they need their time. Man, you got to give it time. And streaming algorithms really aren't built for that. They're built for instant response, instant feedback, on to the next. That's not how it works. And again, even more so, speaking about the algorithm, like, I don't even think nerds like the algorithm, right? Because it's really built for trends. And again, one of the fundamental qualities or components or elements of nerd culture, or at least when I first became a nerd or was called a nerd or identified as a nerd, whatever, we don't do what's trendy. We never have. It's just the things that we do now have been made trendy. And when platforms really start to treat their stories like disposable experiments in this manner, really, instead of gravitating to it, nerds actually like will step away from it. Nerds will actually lose trust, right? And so, stopping here, just want to ask a question: what shows are you guys into right now? And again, as it pertains to this little piece of subject here, what is your favorite show that you're like, yo, this is it, and then it got canceled, and you're like, dang, I can't watch it nowhere anymore. Put it in the comment section. Let's have a discussion about it. Maybe I watched it, maybe I haven't. Give me something to watch. I'll watch. I won't say pretty much everything, but I'll watch damn near anything. So this week wasn't about one platform or one controversy. It was about control. So who decides what we see? What stories survive and what gets to grow? What gets time to really grow and develop? And nerd culture is really feeling this shift first, I would say, and it's because really we pay attention. And right now, they're all saying the same thing. We want creativity back, not optimized experience. And I think we're really watching this split happen in real time. And I don't think it's just happening in nerd culture. I think we can see this in examples across the entire internet. And again, we can see this happening like more so outside of nerdy spaces as well too, right? Let's take what happened this week in the YouTuber podcast space recently with Anton Daniels and Corey Holcomb.
You talking loud, and you still talking around. What did the Caucasian male do to America to bring it down?
I'm not getting into that.
You dancing around it.
No,
and that's why I lose respect for you when you start dancing and kissing Caucasian males' ass.
But I don't.
Don't do that in front of me because I'm not an ass kisser of nobody.
Yes, you are. You suck the dick of black people right now. You doing the easy shit. What you do, let me tell you what you do.
Nah, homie, let me tell you something, homie.
I know you guys are probably familiar with what happened, so I won't go into detail about it. I won't belabor the subject. But if you're familiar with what happened, with that little bout right there, that wasn't just a personal disagreement, in my opinion. No, that actually is a very impactful moment, for culture, right? And on one side, you had people arguing from a place of structure, responsibility and long-term thinking. And on the other, I won't say people, that was more so kind of Anton's perspective and take. And on the other side, we had Corey Holcomb and his audience, and they're really defending that more raw expression, right? And maybe, I don't want to say what legacy internet energy, but maybe more so modern legacy internet energy, because I think the original internet energy wasn't that, and the ability to speak freely without filters. And again, I think more so that is kind of modern internet legacy and not actual legacy. The internet was divided immediately about what happened. And I don't think it was because, or my take on the internet's division on this subject isn't because I feel like one side was objectively right and the other wrong, but more so because they really represent two really different ways of people, and actually really two different ways um, that culture should work right now, right? And that same divide is happening everywhere, right? It's in nerd culture, it's in gaming, it's in fandoms, it's in comedy, um, and it's in how people engage online. One side wants optimization, polish, accountability, and systems in place, and to leverage those systems correctly and efficiently. And the other wants authenticity, or maybe we could say this weird version of authenticity, that more so is just really kind of chaotic, and what they're calling humanity, but I don't even know if it's that. And the ability to just, have voice, right, even when it's uncomfortable. And I don't even necessarily know if I agree with that either. And I think this tension really is only going to grow, but I do want to say this. I made a video at the end of last year, and I I kind of I kind of called this. I did say that 2026 will be the year that the nerds kind of take back some of their spaces. I'm going to unpack that in another video. So that's all we got for this week's episode for Nerd News. If you were humored at all by today's conversation, or found some of the topics kind of relevant to you, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's come underground with me. That's all we got for this week. It's Court checking in with you guys from the other ground. I'm going back underground, and until next time, peace.